मुझको बरसात बना लो, एक लंबी रात बना लो, अपने जज्बात बना लो जाना। मुझको अल्फाज बना लो, दिल की आवाज बना लो, गहरा सा राज बना लो जाना। नशा हूँ मैं, बहकने दो मेरे कातिल, मुझे जीने का हक तो दो। मुझको बरसात बना लो, एक लंबी रात बना लो, अपने जज्बात बना लो जाना। मुझे अपने सिरहाने पे थोड़ी सी जगह दे दो, मुझे नींद न आने की कोई तो वजह दे दो। मुझे अपने सिरहाने पे थोड़ी सी जगह दे दो, मुझे नींद न आने की कोई तो वजह दे दो। लिपटने दो मेरे कातिल, मुझे जीने का हक तो दो। मुझको बरसात बना लो, एक लंबी रात बना लो, अपने जज्बात बना लो जाना। हंस दो ना जरा खुल के, काहे की उदासी है। तेरे संग गुजर जाए ये उम्र जो बाकी है, हंस दो ना जरा खुल के, काहे की उदासी है। सुबह हूँ मैं, आने दो मेरे कातिल, मुझे जीने का हक तो दो। मुझको बरसात बना लो, एक लंबी रात बना लो, अपने जज्बात बना लो जाना। मुझको बरसात बना लो, एक लंबी रात बना लो, अपने जज्बात बना लो जाना। कैसे कहूँ इश्क में तेरे कितना हूँ बेताब मैं, आँखों से आंखें मिला के चुरा लूं तेरे ख्वाब में। कैसे कहूँ इश्क में तेरे कितना हूँ बेताब मैं। आँखों से आंखें मिला के चुरा लूं तेरे ख्वाब में। मेरे साए है साथ में यारा जिस जगह तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, वजह तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, वजह तुम हो। नशा या है जहर, इस प्यार को हम क्या नाम दें, इस प्यार को हम क्या नाम दें। है ये नशा या है जहर, इस प्यार को हम क्या नाम दें। कब से अधूरी है एक दास्तां, आजा उसे आज अंजाम दे। तुम्हें भूलूं कैसे मैं, मेरी पहली खता तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, वजह तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, वजह तुम हो। क्या जाने तू मेरे इरादे ले जाऊंगा सांसें चुरा के, सांसें चुरा के। क्या जाने तू मेरे इरादे ले जाऊंगा सांसें चुरा के। दिल कह रहा है गुनहगार बन जा, बड़ा चैन है इन गुनाहों से आगे। मैं गुमशुदा सी रात हूँ, मेरी खुशनुमा सुबह तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, वजह तुम हो। मैं जो जी रहा हूँ वजह तुम हो, 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 वजह तुम हो। इतनी मोहब्बत करूँ ना, मैं डूब न जाऊं कहीं, वापस किनारे पे आना, मैं भूल न जाऊं कहीं। देखा जब से चेहरा तेरा, मैं तो हफ्तों से सोया नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। मुझे नींद आती नहीं है अकेले, ख्वाबों में आया करो। नहीं चल सकूंगा तुम्हारे बिना मैं, मेरा तुम सहारा बनो। एक तुम्हें जाने के अलावा और कुछ हमसे होगा नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। हमारी कमी तुमको महसूस होगी, भिगा देंगी जब बारिशें। मैं भर कर के लाया हूँ आँखों में अपनी अधूरी सी कुछ ख्वाहिशें। रूह से जाने वाले आशिक बातें जिस्मों की करते नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। बोल दो ना जरा दिल में जो है छिपा, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं, मैं किसी से कहूँगा नहीं। एक चीज चन्ना तेरे बाद रह गई, खो गया है तू, तेरी याद रह गई। करना मैं की इस दिल दा मेरे सांसें तो मेरी तेरे नाल रह गई। ऐसे क्यों बदल गया, क्या कोई है मिल गया, दिल पूछता है क्या कहूँ। टुटे टुटे ख्वाबा विच दिसदा है तू, मैनू छड्ड अज कल किसदा है तू। तेरे बाजू मेरा कोई और ता नहीं, हाल मेरा के क्यों नहीं पुछदा है तू। तेरे हाथों हाथ मेरा छुट गया क्यों, मैं तेरे भरोसे पूरा जग छड्या। जिंद कहण वाले साह लुट गया क्यों, हम सफर बना के क्यों बेजान ले गया। रोज रोज ना रुला, कर दे मेरा फैसला, आधे मन से कैसे मैं जीऊं। टुटे टुटे ख्वाबा विच दिसदा है तू, मैनू छड्ड अज कल किसदा है तू। तेरे बाजू मेरा कोई और ता नहीं, हाल मेरा के क्यों नहीं पुछदा है तू। हुआ है आज पहली बार जो ऐसे मुस्कुराया हूँ, तुम्हें देखा तो जाना ये कि क्यों दुनिया में आया हूँ। हुआ है आज पहली बार जो ऐसे मुस्कुराया हूँ, तुम्हें देखा तो जाना ये कि क्यों दुनिया में आया हूँ। ये जान ले करके जा मेरी, तुम्हें जीने में आया हूँ। मैं तुमसे इश्क करने की इजाजत रब से लाया हूँ। जमी से आसमां तक हम ढूंढ आए जहां सारा, बना पाया नहीं अब तक खुदा तुमसे कोई प्यारा। जमी से आसमां तक हम ढूंढ आए जहां सारा, बना पाया नहीं अब तक खुदा तुमसे कोई प्यारा।
बातों में तेरी है बदमाशियाँ, सब बेवजह की है तारीफियाँ।
मैं लिख दूँ आसमां पर ये कि पढ़ लेगा जहां सारा, हुआ ना होगा अब कोई यहाँ हम दो सा दोबारा। मैं दुनिया भर की तारीफें तेरे सजदे में लाया हूँ, मैं तुमसे इश्क करने की इजाजत रब से लाया हूँ, रब से लाया हूँ, रब से लाया हूँ। तू है जो रूबरू मेरे, बड़ा महफूज रहता हूँ, तेरे मिलने का शुक्राना खुदा से रोज करता हूँ। तू है जो रूबरू मेरे, बड़ा महफूज रहता हूँ, तेरे मिलने का शुक्राना खुदा से रोज करता हूँ।
हमको पता है ये नादानियाँ है, आवारा दिल की है आवारियाँ।
ये दिल पागल बना बैठा, इसे अब तू ही समझा रे, दिखे तुझ में मेरी दुनिया तू बन जा रे। ओ खुशकिस्मत जो किस्मत से तुम्हें ऐसे मैं पाया हूँ, मैं तुमसे इश्क करने की इजाजत रब से लाया हूँ। आहटे कैसी है आहटे, सुनता हूँ आजकल है दिल बता। दस्तके देते हैं दस्तके, क्यों अजनबी से पल है दिल बता। कुछ तो है जो नींद आए कम, कुछ तो है जो आंखें हैं नम, कुछ तो है जो तू कह दे तो हंसते हंसते मर जाए हम। मुझसे ज्यादा मेरे जैसा कोई है तो है तू, फिर ना जाने दिल मेरा क्यों तुझको ना दे सकूं। कुछ तो है जो दिल घबराए, कुछ तो है जो सांस ना आए, कुछ तो है जो हम होठों
लाइव देखेंगे जो घर से जाने के बाद क्या हो भी सकता है। ओके, मुर्शिदाबाद। तो गाइस कैसा लगा हमारा एक ब्लॉग। चलो ठीक है, नया ब्लॉग मिलते, बाय बाय।
The trauma bay doors are shut, not closed sealed. Red lights blink above the frame like a warning. Inside, a man is dying in silence, his heart monitor stuttering in uneven bursts. Outside, doctors argue through glass, their hands useless against a security lock nobody can override. In the hallway, a nurse in plain scrubs stands with a blood-stained chart pressed to her chest. Nobody looks at her twice. She is the one they keep telling to step back. Then the dying man's lips move, barely a breath. A sound that is not a name, a call sign. The nurse freezes. Her eyes change, nothing dramatic, just a shift like a door closing. She leans toward the glass and answers softly, like she has said it before. The doctors turn. The security team turns. And for the first time, the nurse does not ask permission. They thought she was just there to clean up after the real work. They were wrong. The hospital at 2:30 a.m. is not loud. It breathes, air vents hum. Monitors chirp in patient rooms like distant birds. Fluorescent lights flatten every face into the same tired color. Shoes move softly across polished floors, rubber against tile, the sound of people who have been awake too long to waste energy. Mara Keene moves through it without hurry. Her scrubs are plain. No pins, no decorations, no clipped-on badges except the standard ID that flips against her chest when she walks. A pen light in her pocket, trauma shears on her hip. Hair pulled back so tight it looks like discipline rather than style. Room 412. She adjusts an IV rate before the pump alarms. The patient never wakes. Room 406. She repositions an oxygen cannula before the old man starts to cough. He thanks her with his eyes and drifts back to sleep. Nurses at the station argue, softly over charting delays and missing lab results. A resident is hunched over a computer, muttering to himself about differential diagnoses like he is trying to convince the screen to agree with him. No. One calls Mara unless something is already wrong. And even then they do it without looking up. Can you grab vitals in 420? Mara, we're out of saline bags in Bay 3. Hey, can you clean that before environmental comes? She nods every time, no complaint. No visible reaction. She works with a steady rhythm that makes her easy to forget, and that is part of why she's good at her job. At 2:26 a.m. The elevator at the end of the corridor opens with a soft chime. Mara looks up before anyone else does. Not because of the sound. Because of the timing. Elevators that late usually bring a single orderly or a family member who looks lost. This one opens and stays open for 3 seconds too long, then men step out, not in uniforms, dark jackets. Boots that do not belong in a hospital. Their posture is wrong for civilians and too controlled for security guards. They move like they expect resistance, even though the hallway is half asleep. Two of them look around before they move. One of them keeps his hand close to his side like he is used to something being there. Mara does not stare. She lowers her eyes to the chart in her hand and keeps walking, but she adjusts her pace just slightly to pass the elevator as they turn toward the trauma wing. She smells it before she sees it. Metal, blood, fresh and heavy. A gurney rolls out behind them, pushed by paramedics who are breathing hard but saying nothing. The patient on it is covered in a thermal blanket, but it is soaked through near the chest and abdomen. Dark, almost black under the fluorescent light. There is no siren, no shouted report. No chaos. Just urgency so quiet it feels wrong. The resident finally looks up. What is that? Nobody answers him. The gurney wheels move fast toward Trauma Bay 2. The double doors swing open, and for a brief second Mara sees the patient's face. Pale, stubble, lips slightly parted. A tube taped at the corner of his mouth. Eyes closed, but not peacefully. Like someone fighting something even in unconsciousness. Then the doors close. Immediately, a red light above the Trauma Bay frame begins to blink. That is not hospital protocol. Second later, a low mechanical sound hums through the wall, and the electronic lock engages with a hard click. The nurses at the station look up together. Did they just seal the bay? One asks. That's not a thing. Another says. The resident stands. Who authorized that? Mara is already moving. She does not go to the doors. She does not ask questions. She walks to the supply closet 10 feet away and opens it calmly. Scanning shelves, 2 extra saline bags, portable suction kit, backup oxygen regulator. She pulls them out and sets them on a nearby crash cart without explanation. One of the other nurses watches her. What are you doing? Preparing, Mara says. For what? Mara does not answer. Through the small reinforced window in the trauma bay door, shadows move quickly. Someone inside is working fast. A monitor tone becomes irregular, faster, then slower. The resident tries the handle. It does not move. He knocks. Hello? We need access. No response. One of the men from the elevator stands 10 feet back from the door, arms folded, watching without blinking. His face is calm in a way that does not belong here. Mara studies him for half a second. Boot stance. Weight slightly forward. Eyes tracking exits, not people. She looks away before he notices. A doctor arrives at a half jog, coat unbuttoned. What is going on? They locked us out, the resident says. Who are these people? The doctor turns to the man near the door. This is a hospital. You cannot restrict medical access to a trauma patient. The man says nothing. The monitor inside the room emits a long, uneven tone. Everyone freezes for a fraction of a second. Mara's eyes flick to the red light above the door. Still blinking. She steps closer to the glass, not enough to challenge, just enough to see inside. Someone is leaning over the patient, hands moving fast, blood on gloves, a suction line already dark. The patient's lips move barely. Mara does not realize she has leaned forward until her forehead almost touches the glass. She cannot hear him, but she sees the shape of the word, not a name, something shorter, sharper, a call sign. Her breath stops. For a moment so small no one notices. Behind her, the doctor is still arguing. The resident is calling someone on his phone. Nurses whisper. Mara straightens. Her face does not change. She picks up the crash cart she prepared and rolls it quietly to a position beside the door. She checks the oxygen regulator without being asked, tests the suction, aligns the saline bags. So the ports face outward. She does it like this is routine, like she has done this before. No one thanks her. No one questions her. They still think she is just getting ready to clean up after the real work begins. Mara keeps her eyes on the glass and waits. The red light above. Trauma Bay 2 keeps blinking. Not fast. Not slow, a steady pulse that turns. The hallway into a quiet warning. Doctors gather near the door in a half circle, voices low but urgent. The resident is on the phone with administration, repeating the same sentence in different forms. We have a critical patient we cannot access. No, they will not identify themselves. Yes, the door is electronically sealed. The man in the dark jacket stands where he was before, arms folded, watching the hallway like it is a perimeter. Instead of a hospital corridor, Mara stays beside the crash cart. She does not speak. She listens inside the room. The monitor rhythm stutters again. A thin, uneven tone pushes through the door, faint but unmistakable. The sound of a heart struggling to find a pattern. One of the nurses whispers, "He's crashing." The doctor hits the glass with his palm. "Open this door." No response. Mara kneels beside the crash cart and checks the portable suction again. She turns it on for half a second, then off. The battery indicator is full. She checks the oxygen regulator, tightens it slightly, lines up the tubing so it will not tangle when pulled. She moves with care that looks like habit. The other nurses watch her, without understanding why they feel calmer seeing it. Through the small window, shadows shift quickly. Someone inside is trying to reposition the patient. The angle is wrong, too much upper body movement. Not enough control. Mara tilts her head slightly. They are losing blood faster than they can manage. She stands and steps, closer to the glass again. The patient's face turns slightly toward the door. His eyes remain closed, but his jaw moves. Lips part. This time she sees it clearly. A single word. A call sign. It is not meant for the room. It is not meant for the doctors inside. It is meant for someone who is not there. Her throat tightens before. She can stop it. Behind her, the resident says, "We should call a code." "They already know he's dying," the doctor replies. "That's not the problem. The problem is the door." Mara glances up at the ceiling. The small dome camera above the trauma bay is angled slightly down the hallway. Not directly at the door. She notices that without thinking. She steps sideways, just enough that her body blocks the camera's view of her hands. Then she reaches to the wall panel beside the door. Not the main control. The maintenance access strip. Below it. Her fingers press lightly along the seam, feeling for the slight irregularity where the plastic was replaced after the last renovation. She remembers the maintenance report. The faulty wiring they patched instead of replacing. She does not open it. She just confirms. It is still there. Still vulnerable. A nurse beside her whispers, "What are you doing?" "Checking something," Mara says quietly. The man in the dark jacket watches her now. Not suspicious. Curious. Inside the room, the monitor tone becomes more frantic. A high, rapid beeping that makes everyone's shoulders rise. They're losing him. The resident says. Mara does not look at the monitor. She looks at the patient's mouth. It moves again. The same word. The call sign. She leans closer to the glass, so close her breath fogs it for a second. Very softly, barely louder than a breath, she answers. One word. The response. The man in the dark jacket reacts before he can hide it. His eyes shift to her sharply, like a reflex he did not choose. For half a second, his posture changes, recognition, not of her face, but of what she just said. Mara straightens as if nothing happened. The doctor turns. "What did you say?" "Nothing," she replies. The hallway feels tighter now, smaller. 2 more men arrive from the elevator. They do not speak to anyone. They stand near the first man, forming a quiet wall between the staff and the door. The resident lowers his phone slowly. "Administration says they've never seen this protocol before." Mara nods once, as if that confirms something for her. She picks up the oxygen tubing from the crash cart and drapes it over her arm, measuring the distance to the door without. Looking obvious, she checks the saline ports. Again, her movements are not nervous, they are preparatory. The doctor watches her. Mara, what are you planning? She meets his eyes for the first time tonight. Being ready when that door opens, she says. Another long, uneven tone comes from inside the room. This one lasts longer. No one speaks. Mara keeps her gaze on the glass and waits for the moment they cannot control anymore. The hallway no longer feels like part of the hospital. It feels like a border. Staff who pass through slow down without understanding why. They lower their voices. They avoid looking at the red light above Trauma Bay 2 as if eye contact might involve them in something they do not want to touch. Two more men arrive from the elevator. They do not wear badges, no hospital ID, no visible rank. But the way they take position says enough. One at the corner near the nurse's station, one near the fire exit. Not blocking, controlling, the first man in the dark jacket gives them a small nod. No words. Mara watches the exchange from the corner of her eye. Formation, coverage, overlapping. Fields of view. She has seen it before. She turns her attention back to the crash cart and adjusts the placement of the suction line again. Though it does not need adjusting. Inside the trauma bay, movement is faster now. Someone knocks over a metal tray. The sound rings sharply through the door, followed by a curse that slips out before being swallowed. The monitor tone becomes irregular again. The doctor near. Mara rubs his face hard. This is insane. We are standing here while a patient dies. The resident says quietly, "Should we call the police?" The doctor looks toward the men in jackets and then away. "I think the police are already here." Mara's eyes track the hallway instead of the door now. She notices which staff members have been told to leave. Which ones are being gently redirected by security without explanation. Phones are being pocketed. Conversations shortened. Control is spreading outward, like a spill. She walks to the nurse's station, without asking permission, and picks up a clipboard. She writes 3 room numbers on a scrap of paper and hands it to a younger nurse. "Move these patients to the west wing." Mara says. The nurse blinks. "Why?" "Because we will need the space," Mara replies. "For what?" Mara holds her gaze for a second longer than usual. The nurse nods and goes. The doctor watches this. "Mara, what space? What is happening?" She does not answer directly. "Do we have spare or negative in the fridge?" He hesitates. "Yes." "Bring it here," she says. He frowns but goes. Mara does not raise her voice. She does not explain. She simply sets small things in motion, and people obey because she sounds like someone who already knows the outcome. The man in the dark jacket watches her closely now. Not hostile. Assessing. Inside the room. The patients. Arm jerks slightly as someone inside tries to insert another line. The movement is too forceful. The angle wrong. Mara exhales slowly through her nose. They are trained for field stabilization, not surgical control. She steps closer to the glass. Again, the patient's head rolls slightly toward the door. His lips move. The same word. The call sign. Her jaw tightens for a fraction of a second. One of the newly arrived men shifts his weight. His eyes flick to her, then to the first man as if silently asking a question. The first man does not answer. But he does not look away from Mara either. The doctor returns with the blood packs. "Here." Mara sets them on the crash cart carefully, lining them beside the saline. She checks expiration dates without thinking. The resident whispers, "Why do we need blood out here if we can't even get in?" Mara answers quietly, "Because this will fail." He looks confused. "What will?" She does not respond. A hospital administrator appears at the end of the corridor, breathless and irritated. "What is going on here? Why is this area restricted?" One of the men in jackets steps forward and shows something quickly too. Fast to read. The administrator's posture changes instantly. He lowers his voice, nods, steps back. Mara watches that carefully. Authority recognized without question. She catalogs it without reacting. Inside the room. The monitor flatlines for half a second. A long, steady tone. Everyone in the hallway stops moving. Then frantic motion inside. Hands pumping. Someone shouting, "Clear." A muffled thump. The tone breaks into chaotic. Beeping again. They brought him back, but not for long. Mara's fingers rest lightly on the crash cart handle. Her grip is steady. She looks at the maintenance scene beside the door again. Measures the distance. Counts silently. The man in the dark jacket walks toward her for the first time. He stops an arm's length away. "Ma'am," he says calmly, "you need to step back from the door." Mara looks at him up close. She can see the faint crease of old sunburn at his neck. The way his eyes never fully settle. She nods once, but she does not move. Instead, she asks very quietly, "How long has he been out?" The man studies her face. "That is not your concern." Her eyes do not change. It is if you want him alive. A pause. Small, heavy. He does not answer. Behind the glass, the patient's lips move again. Mara does not look away this time. She whispers the response again, barely audible. The man hears it clearly, and this time, he does not hide the recognition. The monitor inside Trauma Bay 2 loses rhythm again, not a flat line, worse. An erratic pattern that makes no medical sense. Too fast, then too slow, as if the heart cannot decide whether to fight or stop. The sound leaks through the door, in uneven pulses. Everyone in the hallway feels it. The doctor steps forward again, anger rising past caution. He hits the glass with his palm. "Open this door now. He is dying in there." One of the men in dark jackets shifts his stance slightly, placing himself between the doctor and the handle without touching him. "Sir, step back. This is a hospital," the doctor snaps. "You cannot keep us from a patient." Mara does not look at either of them. Her eyes are fixed on the patient. Inside, someone tries to intubate again. The angle is off. The patient's head is tilted too far. Blood obscures part of the view. The suction line is not clearing fast enough. She exhales slowly. They are working hard. They are not working correctly. The patient's lips move again. This time, there's no mistaking it. The call sign. Clear. Deliberate. Not random. Mara steps closer to the glass until her shoulder almost touches it. Very softly, with no drama, she answers. The response is a single word. It leaves her mouth like something practiced long ago. Inside the room, the patient's body reacts. A small movement. A tightening of the jaw. A faint attempt to turn his head toward the sound. It is not enough to help him. But it is enough for the men in the hallway to see. The first man in the dark jacket looks at Mara as if a door has opened in his mind that he did not expect to find. "Where? Did you hear that?" he asks. Mara does not look at him. From him. That is not possible. She finally turns her head slightly. He just said it. The doctor looks between them, confused. "What are you talking about?" No one answers him. Inside, someone shouts, "We're losing pressure!" Another voice, "I can't see suction. The monitor spikes into a high, panicked alarm. Mara's fingers tighten on the crash cart handle. She watches the angle of the patient's chest. The way the person inside is pressing down too high. The way they are trying to compensate without realizing the source of the bleeding. She sees the mistake. She knows exactly what is happening. And she knows they will not fix it in time. The doctor pounds the glass again. "Let us in." The first man speaks into a small radio at his collar, voice low and controlled. "Status." A reply comes too faint to hear. His jaw tightens. Mara's voice is calm when she speaks. They are compressing above the injury. He looks at her sharply. "What?" "They are losing blood faster than they think because they cannot see the source. They are pressing in the wrong place." He studies her for a long second. "You cannot know that." She turns her eyes back to the glass. "I do." Inside, the patient's arm jerks weakly, knocking against a tray. The metal clang echoes. The doctor whispers almost to himself, "He's going to die." Mara steps forward, not aggressively. Not dramatically. Just one step. She places her palm flat against the glass, leans closer, and speaks clearly enough to carry through the door. "Listen to me." No one in the hallway understands why she is doing this. Inside, the person over the patient hesitates. Just for a second, Mara's voice remains steady, low, precise. "Lower, 2 inches. Left of the sternum. Clear the field before you compress." Again. The hallway goes silent. The man in the dark jacket does not stop her. He does not know why. Inside the room, there is confusion. Then motion. Someone shifts position. The suction line moves. A pause. Then the monitor rhythm changes. Not stable, but different. The doctor looks at Mara like he is seeing her for the first time. How do you... She does not answer. She is watching the patient's mouth again. His lips move, weaker. Now. The call sign. She answers again without thinking. The man beside her says quietly, "Who are you?" Mara does not look at him. "Just a nurse," she says. The monitor stutters again. The improvement does not hold. They are buying seconds, not minutes. The man speaks into his radio again, urgency now in his voice. "We need a decision, a reply." Comey's, sharper this time. His eyes remain on Mara as he listens. Something shifts in his posture. A calculation. Inside the room, someone shouts, "We're out of options." Mara's hand is still on the glass. Her face calm, her breathing steady. She says quietly to no one in particular, "Open the door." The man hesitates. For the first time since he arrived, he looks uncertain. Mara turns her head slightly toward him. "He called me." She says, "It is not a request. It is a fact." The red light above the door keeps blinking. And for the first time, the men guarding it begin to wonder if they are standing on the wrong side. The hallway is quiet in a way that feels unnatural. Not because no one is speaking, because everyone is waiting for one person to decide something. The man in the dark jacket holds his radio near his collar but does not press it yet. His eyes stay on Mara as if she has become part of the equation he was not briefed on. Inside the room, the monitor struggles on. The tone rises and falls like a body trying to breathe underwater. Mara removes her hand from the glass. She does not rush. She does not plead. She turns to the crash cart and checks the oxygen line one more time. Her fingers move with slow certainty. She untangles a loop in the tubing that no one else would have noticed until it snagged. The doctor watches her. "Mara, tell me what is happening." She meets his eyes briefly. They are trained to keep him alive long enough to move him, not long enough to save him. The words land heavily. The man in the jacket presses his radio. "I need confirmation." On a change of access protocol. A pause, static. A reply too faint to understand. His jaw tightens. "Yes, sir, she is here." Mara does not react. The resident whispers, "She?" No one answers. The man lowers the radio slowly. He studies Mara's face like he is comparing it to a photograph in his memory. "What is your name?" He asks. "Mara." She replies, full name. She holds his gaze without tension. "Mara Keene." He repeats it softly, as if testing how it feels. Then nods once, almost to himself. Inside the room, someone shouts, "He's dropping again." The monitor spikes into alarm. Mara steps closer to the door again, but this time she looks at the wall panel beside it. The maintenance seam. She presses her thumb lightly against the edge, then she looks at the man. "You patched this after the renovation," she says quietly. "The override line runs behind this panel." He blinks. "How do you know that?" She does not answer. Instead, she turns to the younger nurse she sent away earlier, who has just returned. "Did you clear those rooms?" Mara asks. "Yes, good. Keep the hallway empty." The nurse nods without hesitation. The doctor looks between them. "Why is everyone listening to you?" Mara's eyes remain on the door. "Because time is gone." Inside, a crash. Metal hitting tile. A voice, strained and desperate. "We're losing him." Mara's voice stays level. "You are compressing air, not blood. Stop and clear the field before you touch him again." There is no way they should be able to hear her. But inside, the movement pauses. The man in the jacket watches this with growing disbelief. She is not guessing. She is directing. He makes a decision. He presses the radio again. "We are authorizing medical entry." A sharp reply comes back. He listens, then says, "Under my responsibility." He lowers the radio and steps toward the door panel. The doctor exhales sharply. "Finally?" But Mara does not move yet. She turns to the crash cart and positions it directly in front of the door, lining up the oxygen, suction, and blood so they will be reachable within seconds. She hands the doctor a pair of gloves without looking at him. "Do not speak unless I ask you to," she says quietly. He stares at her. "Excuse me? If you want him alive," she says, "just follow." There is no challenge in her tone. No ego. Only instruction. The man removes a small access tool from his pocket and kneels at the wall panel. He pries the seam open carefully, revealing a thin wiring channel behind it. He hesitates and looks up at Mara. Which line? She leans slightly, glances once, and points to a narrow blue wire among several others. That one. He cuts it. The red light above the door stops, blinking. The electronic lock releases with a heavy click. No one moves for half a second. Then, Mara pushes the door open. Not fast. Not dramatic. She enters like she belongs there. The doctor follows. The crash cart rolls in behind them. Inside the trauma bay, the air is thick with the smell of blood and antiseptic. Two medics look up, startled. One of them starts to protest. Mara raises a hand slightly. Step back, she says. They do, not because she shouts, because she sounds like someone who should not be argued with. She moves to the patient's side and takes in everything in a single sweep of her eyes. Chest wound. Improvised packing. Blood pooling where it should not be. Compression in the wrong place. Tube slightly misaligned. She nods once. Now she knows. She looks at the doctor. Suction. He hands it to her immediately. No questions. No hesitation. Behind them, the man in the dark jacket stands in the doorway, watching. And for the first time since this began, he looks relieved. Because the room no longer belongs to protocol. It belongs to her. The trauma bay is smaller than it felt from the hallway. Heat gathers under the lights. The air is metallic and thick. Every surface carries a thin mist of red. Mara steps to the patient's side and lets her eyes settle before her hands move. Chest wound, high left quadrant, packing done fast, not precise. Blood has seeped past it, in slow, steady pulses. The intubation tube is in, but angled poorly. Oxygen is flowing, but not efficiently. The monitor above the bed flickers with a rhythm that cannot hold. She sets the suction tip into the doctor's hand and guides it without looking at him. Clear the field. Do not touch the packing yet. He obeys. The medics inside the room step back, breathing hard, faces pale. One of them starts to explain what they did. Mara shakes her head once. Not now. She leans over the patient. Up close, she sees how young he really is. Older than a boy, younger than he should be for the damage he carries. Stubble along the jaw. A faint scar near his temple that has nothing to do with tonight. His lips move again, the call sign, weaker now. Almost gone. She bends closer to his ear. I hear you, she says quietly. His jaw tightens. Just a fraction. Enough. She adjusts the angle of the tube with 2 fingers, gentle and precise. The oxygen reading climbs slightly. Good, she murmurs, not to him, not to anyone. Just an acknowledgement. The doctor clears the blood. The source becomes visible. She exhales slowly. Lower, she says. 2 inches, that's where you hold pressure, not above it. He shifts his hand. The bleeding slows. Not stops, slows. The monitor steadies by a degree so small it would be invisible to someone not looking for it. Mara's hands move to the packing. She does not rip it out. She eases it back, millimeter by millimeter, watching how the blood responds. The room is silent except for breathing and the monitor's uneven rhythm. Behind her, one of the men in jackets steps inside the doorway. He watches like he is witnessing something he did not expect to see in this building. Mara speaks without turning. Close the door. He does. The room becomes its own world. She replaces the packing with fresh gauze from the crash cart, pushing it into the wound with calm, firm pressure. Not rushed. Not hesitant. Her hands are already soaked. The doctor whispers, "We need surgery." "Yes," she says. "But he won't survive the hallway." She glances at the blood packs. "Hango negative now." He moves quickly. One of the medics says quietly, "They wanted to move him." Mara nods once. "I know." She does not sound angry. She sounds certain. The patient's chest trembles under her hands. His heart tries to race ahead of his blood supply. She adjusts her pressure slightly. "Stay with me," she says very quietly. Not encouragement. Not comfort. Instruction. A knock sounds against the door. Mara does not look. The man near the door opens it slightly. Another voice from the hallway, tense and urgent. "We have orders to relocate the patient. Now." The doctor looks up, startled. "What?" Mara's voice does not change. "Tell them no." The man hesitates. "Ma'am," she finally turns. Her head, her eyes are calm, but there is something behind them that makes him stop speaking. "If you move him," she says, He dies in the elevator. The man studies her face for a long second. Then he closes the door without replying. The patient's pulse spikes again. The monitor shrieks briefly. Mara shifts her stance, bracing one knee against the bed for leverage. She adjusts the gauze. Pressure with exact control, feeling the bleed slow under her palm. The doctor hangs the blood. The line fills dark and fast. Good, she says again. Her voice remains level, measured, but sweat has begun to form along her hairline. A thin line sliding toward her temple that she does not notice. She looks at the oxygen regulator. Increase flow by 2. The doctor does. The patient's lips move again. She leans closer, the call sign fainter than before. She answers it just as quietly. And for the first time, her voice wavers by a fraction of a tone. The medic hears it. Looks at her differently. The knock at the door comes again, harder this time. The man in the jacket opens at a crack. A sharper voice outside. That is a direct order. Mara does not raise her voice. Give me 5 minutes. The man hesitates. She. It's still working. You will not need to move him if I do my job. A pause outside. Then silence. The door closes again. Mara adjusts the packing one final time. The bleeding has slowed to a controlled seep instead of a flood. She nods to herself. Now we can move him, she says quietly. The doctor looks at her, confused. You just said now, she repeats, because now he might survive it. She straightens slightly, her back protesting from the position she has held too long. She does not show it. Her gloves are dark red to the wrists. She looks at the patient's face. You're not done yet, she says softly. Not a promise, a statement. Behind her, the man at the door watches in silence, and he understands, finally, that whatever authority brought him here tonight is not the one controlling this room. She is. They prepare to move. Him. Not quickly. Carefully. The doctor checks the lines twice. The medics position the portable monitor. One of the men in jackets opens the door and clears the hallway with a glance that makes staff step aside without being told. Mara does not step away from the bed. Her hand remains on the packing inside the wound, holding the fragile balance she created. If I remove my hand, he bleeds out, she says calmly. So I'm going with him. The doctor looks at her. You can't. She meets his eyes. You want him alive. He nods once. They begin to roll. The gurney moves into the hallway, and the red light above the trauma bay is still off. It will not blink again tonight. The corridor is empty because Mara cleared it earlier. That is why she cleared it. The elevator waits open at the end like a mouth. Mara walks beside the bed, bent slightly, her arm steady, fingers inside the wound, keeping pressure where no device can. The man in the jacket walks ahead, clearing space. Another follows behind. They look like they are escorting something more than a patient inside the elevator. It is tight. The doors close with a soft mechanical sound that feels louder than it should. The doctor whispers, "This is not safe." Mara does not look at him. Neither is dying. The patient's lips move again, the call sign. She answers it, quieter now. Closer to his ear. Her hand begins to ache from the constant pressure. Her shoulder burns. She does not shift. The elevator descends 1 floor to the surgical wing. Halfway down, the monitor flickers wildly again. The doctor panics. He's crashing. Mara adjusts her fingers inside the wound without looking. A slight change in angle. Not yet, she says. The rhythm stabilizes just enough. The doctor stares at her hands like he is watching something impossible. The doors open. A surgical team waits, confused and unprepared for what they are seeing. Blood, security, a nurse with her arm buried in a chest wound. OR is ready. Someone says. Mara does not let go. They roll him directly inside. Bright lights. Stainless steel, the smell of sterile air. A surgeon steps forward. What happened, Mara? Interrupts quietly. Listen carefully. The bleed is here. Not where you think. If you open high, you lose him. The surgeon pauses, looks at her face. Something in her expression makes him nod without arguing. She keeps her hand there while they prep, while they drape, while they cut around her. Only when the surgeon says, I have it, does she slowly, carefully withdraw her hand. Blood follows for half a second. Then the surgeon clamps. The bleeding stops. The room exhales as one. Mara steps back for the first time. Since entering the trauma bay. Her gloves are dark. Her arm trembles now that she is not forcing it to be still. A nurse moves to help her remove them. She shakes her head once. Does it herself? The man in the jacket stands at the edge of the OR, watching. He says quietly, "You just signed a liability form for this patient." Mara nods. "You could lose your license." She looks at the patient on the table. He could lose his life. A pause. He studies her. "You knew him." She does not answer, because that is not a question she is willing to touch. She turns and walks out of the OR before anyone can stop her. Her legs feel heavier now. The adrenaline thinning into something else. The surgical doors close behind her. With a soft hiss, the hallway outside is crowded now. More men in dark jackets, a few in suits. A hospital administrator who looks pale and deeply uncomfortable. Two doctors whispering urgently. And one man who stands apart from the rest, older still, watching the moment. Mara steps into the corridor. His eyes settle on her. Not curious. Recognizing. The man who brought her to the trauma bay straightens slightly when he sees him. A subtle shift of posture that says rank without words. The older man walks toward Mara slowly. She does not stop walking. She heads toward a sink at the far wall and begins washing her hands like she has done this 1,000 times. Blood spirals into the drain. The man stops a few feet behind her. Double quotes Miss Keene. He says. Her shoulders pause for half a second at the sound of her full name. Then she continues washing. Yes. His voice is calm, measured. You should have been informed. She dries her hands carefully with a paper towel before turning. For what? She asks. That he was coming here. She looks at him directly for the first time. Her eyes are steady, tired, unimpressed. You should have brought him here sooner. She replies. Silence spreads around them. No one speaks. The administrator looks like he wants to interrupt and does not dare. The older man studies, her face like he is confirming something he already knew. You responded to his call sign, he says quietly. Yes. You have not used yours in years. She does not react. A long pause hangs between them. Then he nods once, small and respectful. Thank you, he says. Not loudly. Not publicly. Just for her. Mara folds the paper towel in her hands and drops it into the trash. I was on shift. She says. As if that explains everything. Behind them, one of the suited men starts to speak. Sir, we need to move. The older man raises a hand slightly. The man stops immediately. Mara notices that. Files it away. The older man looks at her again. He asked for you. She swallows once. Barely visible, I know. You were the last voice he heard before deployment. She says nothing because the hallway is not the place for that memory. He watches her for a moment longer. Then, very quietly, he says, No report will mention you. Mara nods. Good. Your administration will receive a version that protects you. I don't need protecting. He almost smiles. Not quite, I know. A nurse from the surgical team rushes out. They have control of the bleed. He's stable for now. Mara closes her eyes for half a second. Relief passes through her like a wave she refuses to show. When she opens them again, she is just a nurse. In wrinkled scrubs. The older man steps back. The men in jackets give her space without being told. For the first time tonight, she is the one people are moving around. She picks up her pen light from her pocket. Checks that it still works. A small automatic habit. Then she looks at the man who first stood by the trauma bay door. You did the right thing. She tells him. He nods, almost grateful. I wasn't sure. You were, she says, you just didn't know why. She turns and walks back toward the elevator. No one stops her. No one asks her to stay. Because whatever authority filled this hallway a moment ago has already shifted away from her. And she prefers it that way. By the time Mara returns to her floor, the hospital has returned to its usual night rhythm. Monitors chirp softly. Lights hum. A patient coughs somewhere down the hall. The nurse's station looks the same, but the people do not. They watch her differently now. The resident stands when she approaches, unsure whether to speak. The doctor who argued at the glass opens his mouth, then closes it again. Mara picks up her chart where she left it. Room 412 still needs a fluid check. Room 406 still needs repositioning. She resumes her work without comment. The younger nurse approaches. Quietly. He's in surgery, Mara says. Alive. The nurse nods, eyes wide with something like awe. Mara does not acknowledge it. An administrator appears briefly, holding a clipboard. We will need statements about earlier. Mara nods. Of course. She writes hers in neat, simple sentences. No extra detail. No names. No emphasis. Just facts. When she finishes, her hand aches in a way she did not notice before. She flexes her fingers once. They are bruised from the pressure she held for too long. She returns to room 412 and adjusts the IV rate before the alarm sounds. The patient never wakes. At shift change, Mara washes her hands one last time. The water runs clear. She removes her badge, tucks it into her bag, and walks toward the exit as morning light begins to thin the darkness outside. Near the doors, the man from the trauma bay stands waiting. He does not speak. He simply gives her a small nod. Professional, respectful, quiet. She nods back. Then she steps outside into the cold morning air. Like this night was no different from any other. Behind her, the hospital continues breathing, and no one says her name.